Hi, my name is Sherry Elliott-Pope, and I'm an artist. And I wanted to talk with you today about some ways that you can increase your profits on art by decreasing your cost. Just some simple money saving tips. And I hope you enjoy. And I'd like to remind you to like this video and subscribe so that you can get more art tips. I'd like to start off with talking about recycling because that's what I do a lot to save costs. So one thing I do is I will take containers. This one I happen to purchase some red grapefruit in, and the containers are really nice. They work out well for painting, and I use primarily acrylic paints now. So that I will put my first rinse water for my brushes in one container, and I'll use the second container for my second rinse. You want to make sure that you wash them out good before you use them in your art. But that helps out cutting down some costs. Additionally, for my paint palette, you can be creative in a lot of different ways. For instance, just a simple egg crate that has been cleaned after you've removed your eggs, used all your eggs, and then you have all these individual palettes that you can mix different colors in. So if you're working and using a lot of different colors, this really comes in handy to help keep from the colors bleeding into each other. But what I primarily use is this pan palette method, and this is a art pan, and it has a sponge in it, as you can see, a stained sponge, and you wet the sponge with water, and then you can buy the paper that goes on top of it. But rather than buying the paper, I use parchment paper, because the parchment paper is about half price. So I just tear off a sheet of parchment paper and put it on my palette, and that way I will save money from purchasing the paper, and it works really well. I also like to use glycerin, pure glycerin, to water as an additive to extend the length of my painting time. I just take about 5 to 10 drops of glycerin and add it to about a cup of water in a container. And then as I'm working with the acrylic paints, I just take an eyedropper and add a few drops and work it up, and it makes the acrylic blend easier, so you can get a similar effect that you would with oil paint, but without the toxic side effects of oil paint. And you'll also get the easier cleanup of the acrylic paint versus the oil paint. As far as using your brushes, you can extend the life of your brush by caring for it properly. So I'll remind you that this is acrylic that we're talking about, and the way that you would clean an oil brush would be different than acrylic. So what I do is I just rinse the paint out, and then I take a few drops of Dawn dish detergent, and I will just use a couple of drops on my fingers to clean out the bristles, rinse till they're clear. And then I will use an inexpensive conditioner or cream rinse, whatever you call it, and just put a couple of drops on my fingers and work it up, and I will put the bristles back in their shape, the original shape that they were purchased in, and that way it keeps your bristles from fraying, keeps it in shape, helps it last longer. To store it, I usually use a paper towel, but you can use a newspaper as well. I put your brush in there, fold it over, and just, that's what I usually do. Then I set it aside so it's ready for the next time. And you can use these brushes for years. Also, don't use hot water when you rinse your brushes. The lukewarm water will work best in preserving the life of your bristles. Okay, I think that's all I have for you today. But please like and subscribe so that I can continue to give you some art tips. Okay, thanks. You have a good day.